My name is Ray Gilley. I'm president of DeCatur Development Authority. We're just outside of Atlanta. In fact, we're in the Atlanta Metro. We're one of the largest counties in the Atlanta Metro, about 700,000 people. Very dynamic and diverse county that's right in the midst of a lot of economic activity in the region. We see a variety of exciting projects, everything from manufacturing, distribution, logistics, headquarters, manufacturing, a variety of projects, which makes the work very interesting and exciting. Everything from a small business startups to large corporates. Some of our projects involve life science projects, biotech, etc. So we see a lot of different projects, which makes the work very interesting. And in any given day, we might be picking up a new project. Sometimes I wonder if we'll see another huge, large project similar to some that we've seen in the years past or the last year. I've been in DeKalb County since February of last year, so went through a couple of winters. So I know what that's like. Cold for a couple of months out of the year, but nonetheless, we are seeing some large and diverse projects along with some small and medium projects as well. And one of the most interesting projects that we did last year was with Cox Communications. They own Auto Trader, Kelley Blue Book, and some other related automotive. So they were doing a corporate headquarters. The whole project was about $100 million. Acuity Brands, another lighting company. They make LED lighting. And they were establishing an innovation center similar to what a Google would set up. So kind of a Google type environment for their engineers and designers who are designing the future products that they're going to make their living off of in the next 3 to 5 years or more. Tech companies, but also basic manufacturing companies, because most areas, especially ours, has a workforce that's very diverse. The workforce has semi-skilled all the way up to highly skilled and educated talent. And so that talent pool is what usually most employers look for first is can we find the workforce? Are we logistically located in the right place? And then can we distribute, not only can we distribute our product, but also can our corporate and other executives that need to travel, sales or other finance and admin people that need to either come see them or they need to go see someone, get in and out of an easy-to-use airport. And we certainly have one of the biggest and best airports in the world with the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. My first professional or job out of college was with a child support enforcement state agency while I waited for the job at the Florida Department of Commerce to open up. So my first actual, I would say, my first truly professional job was in economic development. I did major in economic development. I majored in marketing, graduated from Florida State, and then started to work about a year and a half later in economic development for the state of Florida in research. So I started out in research, that is identifying the companies and areas across the country that we should be targeting to try to attract those businesses to the state of Florida. So it was a great learning opportunity for me. I learned the great state of Florida even better. I knew all the demographics of every county and community in the state. I knew about other states as well, their competitive advantages or disadvantages versus Florida. And also I prepared a lot of the proposals and prepared a lot of the value propositions for our senior management team that did all the marketing to out-of-state key areas or key markets like Chicago, San Francisco, New York, Canada, Toronto, etc. So starting out in research is a great thing because you can then, when you're actually doing the work yourself as a business development manager, you kind of know already what to do and how to respond because you've seen every kind of possible project and you've had to put together by zip code area the marketing trips for your business development reps. So it was good for me to start out in research because you learn so much that you can apply later on as an actual project manager. So I was very fortunate in my career to have that. And while I did research directly, I was blessed to have a Bureau of Economic Analysis that had some true researchers that I could give them a creative assignment to research, and they loved partnering with me to find answers to tough project questions or economic development questions. I would say the dynamic and interesting companies and projects that you encounter, along with the people, because every company or organization or project was started or founded by someone. So getting to know the history of the people, the individuals, their value propositions, their fears, their concerns, their opportunities, their challenges, and helping them figure out between multiple locations, including locations we're offering, the best location for them. So at the end of the day, you're kind of like a site location consultant trying to help a prospect or a client pick the best location that they'll be able to not only be successful but to thrive and prosper. And so having the various perspectives on economic development, working secondly in the power company in both economic development as well as in actual operations, because I think it's great to be an economic developer, but it's also, I think, much more career challenging and much more career development when you have a chance to not only work in economic development on projects, but actually work in operations, as opposed to you finish a project, start on another one, get it to completion, and start on another one, as opposed to having to run day-to-day operations, which is a little different. But everyone should probably have a chance to do both. Now, when you're actually at some point you're managing and running an economic development organization, you are running an organization, both the profit and loss, the success, the strategic goals, the mission, vision, values, all that you have to develop. But I think having the opportunity to work in both the public sector, the private sector, and the not-for-profit world, and all the various volunteer and other roles that, as an economic development or a business leader, that you get involved in a community, whether it's serving on a community college board, a university board, serving on being a board member of a workforce development board, heading up a state association like an economic development association similar to IEDC, but for Florida. You learn a lot from your peers, and you certainly learn a lot and give back to your folks who are coming behind you, along with sharing with your peers as well. So the IEDC has had a fantastic impact on my career. I've gotten to know some really brilliant people that I very much respect in economic development with their knowledge and expertise, and I would say their passion for economic development and community building. Get a chance to see some great examples of the types of things that are being done. Some of those things are transferable to maybe things I'm working on. It's always the relationships and the contacts that are the most valuable, because I never know when I'm going to have an issue or a challenge or an opportunity that I might want to get some opinions from some really qualified people. And IEDC has a wealth of very knowledgeable and experienced and very sharing people willing to share, and they want to help you succeed, even though from time to time you might be competing, but they're very gracious in terms of our willingness to share knowledge and wisdom. For economic development as a whole, I think it's the continuous evolution of the industry, much more professional. I think evolving to having certifications like CECD, which is Certified Economic Developer for the professional. Also accredited economic development organizations for organizations that want to make sure that they are subscribing to and or achieving certain standards in terms of their operations overall. So IEDC has evolved as an organization that's a true, I would say, reference for anyone wanting information about economic development, whether they're a professional or someone just interested in economic development. There's a lot of great information just by clicking on the iedconline.com and just exploring. You'll find yourself like going in the library. I think it's the satisfaction in knowing that the proactive work in prosperity building that we are doing, I am doing along with some other key stakeholders and team members and partners, both in our organization and outside, to help create economic opportunities for businesses to grow and thrive, who they, in fact, will make the capital investments and employ people, hopefully at very high wages, or creating the career and job opportunities for the citizens of a given region or area. And then seeing the individual companies, seeing their facilities open, and seeing the people working there, and talking to some of the people who the very location or expansion of those projects are impacting their daily lives, them and their families. To me, that's the satisfaction, the great satisfaction, knowing that the good work that myself and my team and my peers and my team partners in the community do that make a big difference in the overall economic growth and development of our communities. Be very curious about many things and try to learn as much as you can, and always be a great team player and partner, and be resourceful. Be a resource for your team, and also practice the craft with high integrity, and figure out and do the right thing in most all situations. If you're not sure, then maybe check with someone, because in this business, or as in most business, your personal and professional integrity is really your biggest asset. I would say, hopefully, earning the respect of my peers, my board, my fellow employees, my teammates, being a resource to them and helping not only to achieve my personal goals, but our team goals, and have an overall track record of success throughout my career. I've been very fortunate to have advancements and have done most things I've dreamed of or thought I might do in this work, and more. And I've been exposed to so many wonderful, I would say, experiences that the average person probably won't see, or the average person in their career may not see and or experience. So I don't take any of that for granted. I'm very grateful for that. Although I'm certainly looking forward to what else that may unfold. I've definitely had mentors, or people who cared about my well-being and my growth and success, and who were, I would say, timely, sometimes with their wise counsel and or advice. I don't think it was so much formal all the time as it was my being willing to accept good feedback and or criticism and or direct constructive criticism, feedback and or direction. And so I try and offer that. Sometimes when people are not asking for it, it's not always welcome, but sometimes they need it. But if they ask, I take great serious effort in trying to give the best, wisest counsel possible. And I try and do it within 5 minutes or less. Because I think that whatever I'm going to say or do, the elevator probably speech is probably the best one to give them. They're only going to remember 2 or 3 things anyway. And to try and cite examples, because people are going to remember the examples that you cite. But I was very fortunate in my career development that I had great role models, people who were doing the work that I hoped to do one day, and I actually did. And then people who saw opportunities that I should think about taking advantage of, whether they were job growth opportunities for me, or they were volunteer roles that they encouraged me to get involved in. So I appreciate their wise counsel, and I try and remember that and pass it on. I think a number of things, but the most important one, I think, is the integrity of the profession. And I've experienced some of this myself, and that is when companies announce jobs, sometimes there can be miscommunication, misunderstanding about actual projects and what they mean, the benefit to the communities. And so the proper application of incentives that's seen sometimes at corporate welfare, or that sometimes we're making up the numbers or just guessing at the numbers and not going back and certifying, what companies say they're going to do. And so reconciling the need for accurate information, which these are projections. Companies announce that they're going to create 500 jobs in the next 3 years or 5 years. Something happens in the economy, something happens with their business, and they don't. So being able to explain the fact that these incentives are earned versus paid up front. So as the companies create the job, they receive the incentives. If we're training and investing in people development, then the training we've invested in the people never goes away. We've enhanced their ability to deliver their talent, and that talent and expertise is not going to go away. So investing in people. So it's been something that I think economic developers have had to reconcile, and that is, okay, what is the value of these incentives, and how do we actually count the successes that we've actually had? How do we measure those, and how do we communicate those to the public? I would say to my fellow economic developers, definitely make it known more loudly probably this year more than years in the past, because most of us work behind the scenes. We help create economic prosperity projects, bring them to fruition, and then allow and sometimes celebrate with everyone else, but we take very little credit most of the time. We're allowing our public officials or our board members or others to be in the limelight. But I think highlighting the profession and why it's important to the community and prosperity building in our various communities and regions throughout the country is one of the best things we can do to hopefully highlight the significance of what we're doing and the importance that it can, the important relevance that it can have on the overall prosperity of our regions. Wow. I've been in and out of economic development for over 35 years, I think, at this point, and it feels like just yesterday. However, I know that, and I see these young people, younger professionals coming up, and people's interest in this. And a lot of us do worry about the next generation, but I see and am impressed by a lot of the younger professionals who are taking on significant roles in economic development in communities throughout the country. Even though some of us have been around for a long time and we worry about the future, I'm excited about it because I think the professionalism, the knowledge and wisdom, and the technology today, the amount of information that's available at our fingertips, the amount of how fast information flows, decision making, et cetera. So I'm excited for the future for economic development leaders and professionals because they can truly be impactful with a whole lot, I would say, less budgets. Small budgets don't really constrain folks as they did in the past, seeing more regional collaborations and partnerships using technology to push out all kind of information about economic development, well or not, whether it's entrepreneurship, and seeing just the evolution of economic development from being the basic business retention and expansion to include things like economic gardening, small business development, focused on equity issues, things like that that we haven't always thought about, or that when we did think about them, there was a conundrum. We couldn't figure out sometimes what to do, but I think we are delving into some things that I think we may not have all the resources to solve these things, but we'll definitely have some ideas about what to do about them. I think IEDC board service is very important for economic development leaders from across the country to come together and use our collective wisdom, knowledge, and expertise to help create the kind of learning and nurturing environment that our almost 5,000 plus members can truly benefit from. I think that's the giving back part, but also the gaining part too, because our board has at least 40 to 50 plus members, and many of these people have become really good friends and associates who we can share among ourselves. We also can help each other out in times of personal crisis and or career crisis, which that's going to happen to most people at some time. And so that, I think, has been one of the benefits. But more importantly, I think, is refining the delivery of the professional development, the networking, the advocacy, the key pillars of the mission of IEDC. So I think we can help evolve the delivery of how we educate and inform not only our constituents, our members, but also our various other stakeholders and partners in the economic development arena, which are many, many types of organizations throughout our various communities.